Hello. It's a beautiful Monday morning. We're going into work and I have not filmed for a while. That's for many reasons, or a couple reasons. One being multiple sicknesses in my family, including me, some major sicknesses, and then just like a lot of violence in healthcare in the news recently. So I just wanted to take some time to just kind of process all that and give myself some grace to be able to process all that. But now I feel like it's time to create a new video, and I think this one is going to be all about insurance reviews. So I had made a video before all about discharge planning, anything that I can think of, and then this one is going to be the same, but all about insurance reviews and a little bit more in detail about exactly what I do with the insurance reviews. So today's Monday, and I'm actually gonna pick you guys back up on Wednesday. It's a 5-day work week for me. I was planning on working from home today, but we actually kind of got called into the hospitals, whatever is our respective hospital that we work at, for like an important meeting today that they want us to be like on camera and at the hospital. So I'm gonna do that today, and then I'm actually gonna work from home Wednesday through Friday this week. So I'm gonna actually pick you guys back up on Wednesday. I'm just trying to film whatever I can at home versus at the hospital, just trying to respect my workplace. Not that it's like a huge deal or anything. I've read like our social media, whatever those things are called, our social media policies, and they don't really care that you film, but I just if I'm working from home, why not? So I'm gonna plan to pick you guys back up on Wednesday, and we'll talk all about insurance reviews. Hello and happy Wednesday. This is the comfy outfit we have going on for our work from home day today. I'm gonna go to the gym with my mom later today after work. So on days where I do that, I just try to wear something that I could literally wear to the gym. So I have just like a tank top, black tank top. I have a cardigan. I'm wearing like leggings and then some socks and my house shoes. I have been going to the gym with my mom every Wednesday. We've always had like a gym membership together, like a family gym membership, but she started going to these classes like on Saturdays and Wednesdays. So now on Wednesdays, I've been going with her pretty consistently. I know I talked about wanting to get back into exercising and potentially going to the gym. I just didn't know how, but the Wednesdays and Saturday classes have really just kind of been a good mark on the calendar to get me exercising, get me to the gym. And the one on Wednesdays is like my favorite. It's like super fun. And Saturday we went like a couple times. It's not my favorite one. It's actually like pretty hard, but that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to do today after work. But happy Wednesday. As you can see in the clip in the morning, daylight savings time has happened, and it is so dark when I wake up, so it's actually a little bit later that I'm filming this because I just am so tired in the morning because of how dark it is. This room has really came a long way since the last time I filmed. Let me show you. So we still have my desk here, and over there was like a bunch of stuff that I moved, and was able to kind of move my mirrors and stuff over there, like my stuff to get ready. This mirror was already here, so I just figured I'd put them all kind of like on the same wall. Moved my kind of, I don't know, I call them bins, my clothes bins, dresser type things over there. Like I said, I'm going to keep the books in here just so, you know, it's kind of like a safety hazard. We don't have them connected to the wall or anything like that, so that way I can just kind of keep an eye on the kids when they're in here with the heavy bookshelves. I kept some toys of theirs in here because when they do come in here, they have some toys to play with and they kind of leave me alone. So yeah, that's where we are with this. Got some shelves hung, nothing on them. Got this picture frame that my mom got me for Christmas. And yeah, that's where we are, and I'm pretty happy with it, and working from home has been fantastic. So let's sit down and talk about insurance reviews. Okay, if you've ever wondered how like a hospital gets paid, or how you end up getting your bill, or anything that has to do with like billing from the hospital, this is kind of like a start to it. I am not by any means an expert or claim to know everything. I've been doing insurance reviews in my case management job for about 5 years, and now I've been solely doing insurance reviews with the admissions team since like October of last year. So when you come into the hospital, it is some insurances requirements that they are notified that you entered the hospital, like not just emergency room, but like more than that. So some insurances require us to notify them if you're in what's called observation status, which means you have a bed in the hospital, but you're kind of just being monitored. And then a lot of insurances require that we notify them when you are in inpatient status, which is what is the status that everyone thinks that they are admitted in to the hospital when they are admitted. So that's like your normal hospital setting. Some insurances don't require a notification that you came in, but we do notify them when we send the insurance review. So you come into the hospital, your insurance is either notified or not, and then they get the insurance review. So the admissions team, my role, my coworker's role, is that we will do what's called the admission review, which is reviewing the medical record, your medical chart or the patient's medical chart, and compiling the information for usually like the first 2 days, or like the first like total 24 hours. Not everyone usually comes in the morning, so that's why it's like 24 hours. Like if you come in 3:12, then our admission review is 3:12 and 3:13, and it just kind of gives the insurance a picture of this is why you came into the hospital and this is why you need to stay in the hospital. That's necessary because they need to know if it's medically necessary that you're there, and then they, based off that information, approve or deny the hospital stay. If they deny the hospital stay, we'll talk about that in a minute, but if they approve the hospital stay, then they usually approve like a certain amount of days, whether that's 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, whatever. It can be 1 day until the next insurance review is then due. And we do insurance reviews and not just sending like a whole medical chart, because like they don't want to read about all your negatives or things that are not pertinent. Like it's our job to read the medical chart and put everything in a condensed form that is like, this is why they need to be here and this is what we're doing. There's also like criteria. So the two criteria sets that I am familiar with is interqual and indicia. That's going to be completely foreign to you. It was foreign to me before I ever did insurance reviews, but they're kind of like these check boxes. So let's just say you come into the hospital for pancreatitis. There's going to be certain check boxes in these criteria that are like, she meets these criteria check boxes, and that's why they need to be in the hospital. Then there's usually like another kind of category that's like, you know, he came in with pancreatitis, he meets these check boxes, and then this is the treatment we're doing, you know, check, check, check. These are the things that we did, and together means that the patient should be in the hospital. Sometimes you may not meet those check boxes, so it's like you either meet criteria or you don't. We do that criteria, we do the clinical, compile everything, put it in a condensed form, send the criteria and the clinical off to the insurance, and then they approve or deny. The timing of when we send a review, like that 24, 48, 72 hours, usually depends on how strong of an inpatient meet that you are. So if you are in the ICU, getting ICU level of care, that's a pretty big slam dunk. Really, they would only need, you know, that first day, maybe that second day of clinical, and then we would send it and it would not be an issue. We know, you know, for the most part, we're gonna get approved. But if it's something that's a little bit more like week of an admission, like you have stuff going on, but, you know, we can't send you home, but it's not like a really strong diagnosis, like a stroke or a heart attack or whatever, then we may keep it longer, like for that 72 hours, to hopefully compile some more strong information about why you need to be at the hospital and get a better approval chance with the insurance. Every insurance is also different when it comes to timing, so sometimes you will not have the opportunity to wait longer, like that 72 hours. Like some insurances, just based off their kind of like requirements, like you have to get the clinical to them within 24 hours. Some are 48 hours, some are 72 hours, some are like 7 days. So some have like really tight time requirements where some do not. That's kind of why, if you've watched some of my other videos, you would have like learned that I do like a certain insurance for a certain like couple hospitals, and that we do it that way so that like each nurse is kind of an expert in that certain insurance. So like I know that my insurance requires this, this, and this, and there's less likely of a chance of me missing something if I am an expert, and versus me just doing like insurance reviews for all of one hospital, and then I have like all of the different insurances in that hospital. So that's kind of why they divide it up like that. They want the nurses to kind of be experts in their insurance, and that, you know, they think has proven to decrease the amount of denials that potentially could come in. We don't do, as the admissions team, we don't do any continued stay reviews, which is like if they initially approve and then they give you 1 day, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, that next review, that's not something that we do. I used to do that when I worked in case management, but now that is kind of like the role of an assistant to me. We're not going to get into that role at all, but there's like an assistant for me, and that's who kind of notifies the insurance that the patient was in the hospital if they need to be notified, and then they do like continued stays and they communicate with the insurance reviewers and everything like that. So we are insurance reviewers at the hospital, and then the insurances have insurance reviewers as well. It's kind of weird because talking to them, it sounds like we do a lot of the same thing. Like they don't have access to the medical chart, so I'm the one that's going in and kind of pulling that information. But in terms of the criteria, like in interqual or indicia, it sounds like they do that as well. So I send everything off, and then they do their own criteria to see if the patient needs to be there. They can approve or deny right off the bat, or insurances have something called like a medical director, and the reviewers there sometimes, you know, a lot of the time send the insurance review to the medical director to do that final approval or denial. If an insurance denies a hospital stay, then usually there is the option to do what's called a peer-to-peer. So that's their doctor who denied the claim speaking with our doctor, which we have like a medical, we have like a few of them. I think there's 3 of them, and they're called like physician advisors. And once a case is denied, they will review it and they will say, yep, this is an appropriate denial, so we are going to accept the denial,
or we do not feel like this was an appropriate denial and we are going to do a peer-to-peer. So their doctor talks with our physician advisor, and then they kind of battle it out. They decide in the end, it really is up to the insurance, but the insurance decides if they are going to uphold their denial, or if our physician advisor has been able to convince them that the denial should be overturned and approved. So that is kind of like, in a nutshell, the very beginning of what happens when you come into the hospital, how the insurance knows that you're there, why you're there, and then kind of like the billing process starts. There's more that I don't really deal with, when it comes to billing, but in terms of insurance reviews, you have your initial review, you have your continued stay reviews, which, like I said, my assistant kind of does. And then once the case is closed, so you have been discharged from the hospital and the insurance reviewer at the insurance closes the case because you have been discharged, that's kind of when like the bill gets sent out. Your insurance decides what they're paying, you pay your co-pays, deductibles, whatever, and then the rest is like, up to the billing department, which is not at all me. So that's what I know of insurance reviews at a hospital type setting. There are also insurance reviews for like nursing homes. So I know that like if you go to a nursing home or you go to a rehab, and I say nursing home, but like you went to the nursing home for rehab, there are case managers there that also have to do insurance reviews. So they're like, this is why they came into the rehab, and then they send that information off to the insurance, as well as like physical therapy, occupational therapy notes, and then the insurance decides how long they are going to approve that person being at the rehab. And they may need to also do continued stay reviews and get more approved days, but ultimately insurances kind of dictate everything. So in the hospital and in rehabs, the insurance kind of decides, I'm paying this much for these people being at your hospital or your facility for however long. So in terms of the hospital, whatever they don't pay usually is just absorbed from the hospital. And at a rehab, like if they decide that they're stopping your rehab coverage, you then usually have to either pay privately for that, or in order to stay in the rehab, if you need to stay in the rehab longer, or you leave and you go home. So I know that's like a huge topic because insurances will cut you short at rehabs, and there's plenty of families who have complained because they don't feel like their family member is ready to go home. But in the end, that is kind of just how the insurance process works and the relationship with us and the facilities and whatever. So let's say an insurance, upholds that denial for the hospital. We then have the option to just accept the denial, which really means that just like the bill is not getting paid at all, no matter how big it is. It's not like it goes back on the patient usually. I have myself, for like when my one daughter was in the hospital, that was completely denied, and they did not feel like it was medically necessary, and I did not get the bill. Like I had to pay my like co-pays and deductibles and stuff like that, but that's ultimately all I had to pay. So the hospital, our physician advisors, decide whether they are accepting of the denial ultimately and we absorb the cost, or if they're going to do what's called like a written appeal. So that's like the next level appeal. You have your peer-to-peer, and then you have your next level appeal, and it's usually written, and there's people, a completely separate department for that, who write up this appeal, and they are still arguing that the patient needed to be at the hospital and that we should be paid. We also have denial meetings where we talk about denials. We usually like kind of audit ourselves and look at our denials within our insurance groups and pick out opportunities or trends of denials, and hopefully the goal is that you have less denials every month, and we obviously want as little denials as possible, because like I said, if an insurance denies and we do not get the denial overturned, or we feel like it's appropriate, that bill is just completely absorbed. And there are a lot of bills like that. You would be very surprised, I believe, to find out what insurance denies. They do not feel like a lot of stuff should be an admission to a hospital, and I can guarantee you your opinion of that and my opinion of that is completely different. Me and you may think absolutely our grandma or our mom or our father needed to be admitted to the hospital, and these are the reasons why, and the insurance is going to come back and say nope, that is not medically necessary. So that's why it's important to look at the denials, try to prevent the denials. And that is a huge reason why just healthcare is just such a mess on so many levels. Like, I cannot completely blame the insurance. It's definitely on the hospitals as well. It is just a mess, and that is a completely different topic. But just know that if an insurance denies a patient being in the hospital, which obviously we've heard happens so many times, that money never gets paid by anyone. So your local hospital is absorbing that cost, and let me tell you, it is, a hefty amount. I can see people's bills from time to time and be able to see what amount is just being absorbed, not being paid, whatever, and it is large. And I'm sure there's federal government things to kind of relieve hospitals of that kind of burden, but I don't know anything about that. I just know that those numbers can be staggering. So yeah, I think I explained insurance reviews as good as I can. I review the chart, I compile the information. This person is here for this reason. This is why they came into the hospital. This is their diagnosis. This is what we're doing. This is what medications they're getting, what tests we're doing, what procedures need to be done. And we are compiling that and putting it all in a condensed form and sending it off to the insurance. We are making sure that patients are in the right patient status. So I've mentioned observation status before and inpatient status. If you come in for a pre-planned surgery, again, we make sure that you're in the right patient status. If you're in observation status, you're really not supposed to be in observation status over 24 to 48 hours. We make recommendations sometimes for the physicians to change the person from observation to inpatient. And we are doing this usually based off of the first 24, 48, 72 hours maximum. And then we really kind of take those patients off of our plate, and it then kind of goes over to our assistant for any kind of continued stay stuff. So admissions team, we do all the admission stuff, usually again within the first 72 hours, sending off that clinical information, and then it is kind of out of our hands. We are going to start getting more involved with the appeals and the peer-to-peers and stuff like that, but at this point the admissions team that I work for does not do that, but I know that that is something that other admissions teams do. And yeah, and they're separating case management all over different hospitals. It's happened, obviously to my hospital, it's happened to other hospitals in my area. My mom works as a case manager at a different hospital than I do, and they're doing the same thing because insurance is just getting so tricky. And it's very important, obviously, that the hospital is paid, and it used to be a lot different when I came to insurances. You kind of had your commercial insurances, you had your Medicare, and that's it. You have like a million commercial insurances nowadays. You have Medicare replacement plans. Insurances deny more now than they ever have, and so that is why things are becoming more complex, and they're kind of splitting up case management. Like case management's now becoming like discharge planners, which is what I used to do. And then now like admissions teams or utilization review teams or insurance review teams who are experts when it comes to the insurances and submitting those insurance reviews. Yeah, so that's all I can think of when it comes to insurance reviews. I am more than happy to answer any questions that you may have in the comments. Thank you for listening to this and being interested in my journey with my new job. I'm so happy to have you here. If this is your first video that you're seeing of me, welcome. Thanks for watching. I am a RN case manager. I work in a hospital. I newly work hybrid, so I'm working from home today, and I do insurance reviews. So if this video was interesting, please consider following along. I post work, motivation, lifestyle videos. I'm a mom of 2. I post family and cleaning motivation videos. So if this interests you, please subscribe. I hope this answers your questions, and thank you for being here. Thanks for watching my videos and being interested, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.